Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group.
Hi, happy Saturday. We are joined here together for another Saturday food support group. And I love this because we just get to come together and just talk about our experience. And today we have a really awesome guest, Tiffany Davis. On Instagram, she is tiffany.r.d, and I have been following her for years. So Tiffany, tell us your story. I would love to hear it.
So my story is a little bit different in the sense that I didn't start out as a carnivore. I started with a bariatric surgery. So to go back a little bit further, I was about 43, 44. I was at a Kohl's in the dressing room, sitting and letting my daughters go and bring stuff in so that I could help them because I was too hot, sweaty, and tired to do anything. I was about 319 pounds. And I had a moment where I looked up, and across from me was a mirror, and I saw myself, really saw myself for the first time, I think in many, many years. And I was like, wow, I really have to do something. Not just because I was worried about my weight, but I just looked unhealthy. And it still, unfortunately, took me a little bit of time, like over a year, to figure out what I wanted to do. But I did end up having a bariatric surgery in 2017 in Mexico, which was vertical sleeve gastrectomy. So it makes the size of your stomach smaller. It doesn't reroute anything. And I knew that going in, I was going to need to deal with my head way more than I was going to need to deal with my stomach. So I had this tool. I knew that it was a limited amount of time that I could make that tool work for me because a lot of people regain weight with bariatric surgery. So I knew I was going to be keto. So I went in, started keto. I was keto, for 2 years. But what I didn't really realize until I started following Sean Baker was that I was carnivore. I really wasn't keto. So I ate a little bit of veg, a little bit, no real fruits. And but my surgeon had always said prioritize protein, because if you don't, your hair is going to fall out. You're going to lose your muscle, and you're going to get sicker instead of better. You might get thinner, but you won't be better. So I did that. And so I was carnivore this whole time, didn't really realize it until late 2018, started following Sean Baker, I did the carnivore challenge, for January. And I was like, wow, I feel really great. Thought I'm just going to go back to my version of keto in February, which I did. I'm like, I feel a lot better when I just eat meat. And that's what I've done. And, a lot of the women that had surgery the same day that I did, we all kept in touch with each other. Most of them have struggled with their weight because they weren't willing to do keto. They certainly weren't willing to do carnivore, and have, been struggling to keep that weight off. Whereas I've been able to maintain my weight loss and enjoy health benefits and just feeling amazing while I'm doing it. And so in 2019, I also became a certified coach, kind of sat on that for a while because I had a lot of like imposter syndrome, like, who am I to help anybody else? And then but I was helping people, and I still do that via my social media. So finally, at the end of last year, I pulled it and went, all right, I'm going to start doing coaching groups. Kelly Hogan was a great contributor to that happening. She's an encourager. And so now I do that most part-time, I guess I would say. And I'm on Instagram a lot. So I'm always DMing and things like that. So I walk a lot and I weight lift on top of what I eat, because I think, nutrition is the foundation, but if you don't move and use your muscles in your body, you're missing the next component of your overall journey. So that's a quick snippet into my journey for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I just turned 50. So in March.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And because I know whenever you were telling me, you were like, when I started, I was 43, 44. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, how old is she now? Like, that's amazing. And I love on Instagram. And what caught my attention so much was your just realness, like your ability to just like speak into the suffering of where people are at, and not just to leave them there in that suffering, but to give them hope that there is a different way, there is a better way. And you crack me up on your posts and stuff all the time. You look like you're having fun.
I try. I kind of consider myself the anti-influencer, because I will go on like my hair crazy and in my pajamas. And, I always say I filtered this for your protection, because today I put makeup on, but this is a rarity in my world. I'm kind of a low key girl when it comes to the way I get ready. I don't know. I got dressed today. My husband's like, wow, you look really nice. I'm like, I do. I guess all I have to do is put on mascara and lipstick to impress him. So 27 years together, that's all it takes these days. But I do try to be real. I do try to be realistic also, because I think in this space, whether you're keto or you're carnivore, we hear a lot of like, this is just going to be everything. This is the magic pill that's going to fix all the things. And it can fix a lot. And I think, like I said, I think nutrition is the foundation to any health journey, but that doesn't always mean that that's the only thing that you're going to need to do, or that it's going to happen overnight. And it's not a magic wand. It's really about consistency. And I'm hearing this a lot in the space, which I love. It's not perfectionism, but consistency that really gets you further in this whole journey. And so if I add a little humor and realism to all that, then I feel good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about is you're so approachable, you could have bought into that imposter syndrome and been like, oh, well, I'm not worthy of saying anything. But because you said it, where you're at, people are like, oh, Tiffany, I can relate to that. Like, I'm like Tiffany. Tiffany's like me. Like, if Tiffany can do this, I can do this.
So that is the truth. If I can do it, truly anyone can do it, because I was absolutely a carb addict, food addict, really didn't know those terms in the way that I do now. But yeah, there was a time in my life where I couldn't imagine, a week without a bagel or a biscuit or something like that. I just thought that my life wouldn't be complete if I weren't eating certain foods. And when you get far enough away from that and you start actually having vitality in your life, and you realize, oh, this is what living is. It's not what I put in my mouth. It's what I'm able to do. I like walk 5 miles every day. Like, it's not a big deal. That's not where I started. I started with, when you're 319 pounds, walking is, for anything, is a big deal. And, a few years before this, well, let's see, we were still in Texas. So more than a decade, I had done like the 3-day walk. And I really thought, oh, this 60 miles in 3 days and training for all this, I'm going to just lose all this weight. But I didn't change the way I ate at all. In fact, I probably ate more and I didn't lose a pound. I did complete the 3-day and then I didn't walk again for years. Years. So, because I only had one part, not the other. It's just, I always tell people you're 3 parts. Your physical, your mental, and your spiritual. And if you don't take care of all of those parts of you, you're going to be out of balance and it's not going to stick. So yeah, vitality is really what we get over the food we put in our mouth. And I like my food, but I like my life a lot more.
Absolutely. And I've had quite a few people come to me and they feel that they've already screwed up by getting the surgery. And that they've messed up their stomach in that they're not able to absorb nutrients as well, and that they've kind of wrecked their mental health. Can you speak on how there's still hope and there's still, and maybe what things you might have to do differently than somebody who has not had surgery?
Okay, well, number one, bariatric surgery is just a tool. I first of all, the thing that I've been, what's come to me the most is like, whoa, you kind of cheated. I'm like, okay, yeah, I cheated death. So yeah, I cheated, but with bariatric surgery, we still decide everything that goes into our mouth. It's, it's not locked. I could maybe smaller amounts, but I still could have put anything in my mouth that I wanted to. In fact, I work with bariatric patients that haven't lost any weight, that are still in the struggle because of the things that they haven't worked on the mental and they haven't worked on what they're putting in their mouth. So it's not wrecked. If I had all the information I had now, I might not have made that choice for myself, but I don't have any regrets for it. I do take a digestive enzyme with my meals. Usually I eat 3 small meals or 2 meals per day. So I will take a digestive enzyme. I didn't start that until the last 6 months. And it's made a very big difference in the absorption of my food. I didn't realize that I was having any malabsorption because I didn't have gastric, so I don't have a reroute. But with any gastric, anytime you're messing in there, you take that chance. So I do take a digestive enzyme. It's not expensive. It's the Now brand, which I wouldn't necessarily go out and recommend that particular brand for all things, but their super enzyme's really great. I haven't noticed it messing with anything, actually making it better. And my daughter, who has never had any kind of gastric surgery, she's a teenager, but she eats mainly carnivore, and I have her take it as well. And she just feels better. And she'll love that I'm saying this, but she's just more regular with the digestive enzyme. So
got it.
Yeah. And if you find that after bariatric surgery that you're having trouble with like a steak, then you don't need to start with steak. You can start with ground meats, and you might have problem with, going too high in fat. So, instead of doing a ribeye, you can do a New York strip, or you can do a little bit leaner of the ground meats, like ground turkey, ground chicken, ground beef. Thankfully, I've never had any problem with meats, but I do hear that quite a bit. And so starting with something softer, or even like, going with like fish can help you and the digestive enzyme, and then work your way into the steaks and briskets and all that delicious stuff.
That's great. So how can people reach out to you and find you and sign up for some coaching with you?
So the best way to reach me is on Instagram. I am shamefully on there way more than I should be. So that's the best way. Or, and if you want, you can email me. I'm just Coach Tiffany RD@gmail.com. And the RD, just for reference, those are my initials. I am not a registered dietitian. Just so you know, I'm a certified coach, but I am not a registered dietitian. So, I do one-on-one coaching, and I do some group coaching, and, but you don't have to sign up for my coaching at all to reach out to me if you've got questions or concerns. I'm a DM away, so feel free to reach out to me.
I love that. And you are at tiffany.r.d.
Jackie, the email is Coach Tiffany, Tiffany, rd@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much. And I thank you for just filling my newsfeed with just joy. Like anytime you pop up in my newsfeed, I'm just like, oh, a new video from Tiffany.
I take that as the highest compliment. And I feel the same. You're really providing such an amazing amount of content, and doing these Saturdays is really great. I think that people are going to get so much out of it. They come here, they get to connect with each other. Community is the difference between success and failure. I really think that, when we reach out to each other, we support one another, that really makes all the difference. Weight Watchers, that might not be the best diet, but the reason it's been around is because there's the camaraderie, right? We need community, and that is, and a little positive peer pressure never hurt either. So, that's why these groups and coaches and being on Instagram and social media is so important. And to have someone like you that's doing this every week is wonderful.
Well, and I remember when I was so mentally ill and physically ill, that's all I could do. Just lay in bed or sit in the recliner and just scroll through social media, look through YouTube. And so I know that it's important to just reach them where they're at, and to let them know that there's hope, that, there is hope, that you can go from 300 plus pounds to being able to walk. I mean, that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about like be a swimsuit model and do everything, just to be able to function.
Yeah. And to have living in your life. And, so that might not mean that you go on a 5-mile walk every day. It just may mean that, it's not going to kill you to clean your house, or to go to the zoo with your kids, or to walk around the mall. My other daughter that doesn't live at home anymore, but she's like, it's really weird that you will go to the mall with us now, because I was like, I didn't want to do that. That was an effort. I'm not a shopper anyway. And then you add on, being 150 pounds overweight, that was an effort. So whatever it is, having that why, what is it that will bring life into your life? That's going to keep you motivated. And when you get there, you don't want to give it up. You will hold on to it for everything that it's worth, because we know what it's like to not feel good and to not be able to do the things that we really want to do, and to have that missing out, and once you change that, man, that'll keep you on the straight and narrow real quick.
Exactly. And for me, I didn't know how good felt until I felt good. And I was like, wait, what? Like, this is how good feels? Okay. Mm-hmm. Like, forget the rest of that. Who cares about chocolate chip cookies and biscuits and cinnamon rolls? And I want to feel good. Like, that matters to me more than anything. And to have my mind. Yeah. I mean, having my mind, my clarity of thought, my joy, I mean, that's priceless.
Absolutely. I agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for popping in. You are welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime, and you're welcome to jump in on any of the questions that come up. And if anybody has a question specifically for Tiffany, you can raise your hand. Or if you have a story that you want to tell, your carnivore journey. Geraldo, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
What are you doing? This is my first meeting with y'all. I found you on YouTube. I have Instagram. I just don't use it a lot, but I go on YouTube every day. I work remote, so every day I'm working. I'm scouring YouTube. So I found this group on there. So thank y'all for letting me in, and whomever. I like this. I started carnivore recently. I'm still transitioning, if you will.
Okay.
That's the withdrawal symptoms. The urges are pretty difficult to tamper with. I'll just do a very, very abbreviated version of my story real quick, just to get an idea.
I would love that.
About Yeah. So most of my life I had problems with alcohol abuse. And so I'd say a little less than a year ago, I quit drinking. And I've been successful with that. And I went through, I don't know if anyone's heard of it, Smart Recovery. It's a non-religious way to stop a lot of, addictions. Anyways, but when I originally quit, I started using food as a buffer, right? As the lesser of two evils. And I never had a problem with food. I barely ate. I mean, I drank a lot, right? Those were most of my calories. And so I would bake 2 cakes every weekend. I'd eat 2 cakes, right? Instead of drinking, I'd be binging out on cake and food. And now, I'll say, quite a few months later, I found that, I'll eat, I go on 3-day binges of food, just constantly eating sweets. And then I have some extreme, I don't know if it's glucose or insulin sensitivity, but when I eat carbs now, I pass out pretty much. Like I just eat and I'll be in the middle of a work day and I'm falling asleep at my desk, kind of like you see people when they drink, they just pass out at the end of the night. Well, that's me when I eat carbs. So, it became kind of more of a hindrance than a help. And, I deal with depression and a few other mental, issues and cholesterol issues. And, I'm on a statin, which I realized was causing severe brain fog. So I've reduced that after learning some things from Dr. Barry, who everyone here I'm sure is familiar with. And then I came across you, this one, and these wonderful people here. And so now, the big thing for me now is I'm at the point where I'm eating, I'd say 80% carnivore, 20% though. I'll say every 2 to 3 days, I have an episode where I get a craving so bad that I have to indulge, right? And now I'm trying to do some new tactics. Like this time when I ordered groceries, I just bought some fruit. So I'm hoping I can supplement any truly evil binges, like with my donuts or my cake or things like that, with fruit. So hopefully that works. And I came to this because I felt it was a little more appropriate, a little more community based around what I was really directed towards, opposed to Smart. So I do like using that for my other issues, but this is definitely something that I saw. You were a wonderful, pleasant person to watch. I'm like going through, like, you're like my greatest hits list. I'm, half of my work day is you and your groups, or these weekend support meetings, and you're scrolling on my YouTube while I'm working. And it's just been real nice to hear a lot of the community. I'm glad y'all record these because it's very helpful. And I love Tiffany. I loved your story. It was really, made me laugh and everything. I really liked it. So thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I love your story because I think that it's so important for us to start where we're at. And, the going back to the alcoholism is not an option. So, it's really important that you navigate that addiction of the sugar, to really stay in a safe place with that, to not trigger that addiction with the alcohol. Because if you're looking at the two, you're like, okay, I get that sugar is not good for me, but alcohol is going to, totally change the trajectory of my life. Like, and to not really get caught up on the sugar, because if we try and clear everything out in one sweep and rip the Band-Aid off, where's that going to leave you? I think it's really important to start where you're at. And I love the idea of you trying to get that sugar addiction through whole foods, like fruit, and to just realize that this is this huge ship that we're trying to turn around, and that we just got to take it a notch at a time. And it's okay to be where you're at. And honestly, I know this sounds really weird, but I think you're one of the lucky ones, because you have an immediate reaction to those carbs.
Oh yeah.
That's a gift. Like, look at that as a gift, not as a curse, because there's so many people who they indulge into the sugar and into the cakes and everything else, and then they don't feel the effects of it for 3 days. And then they just binged for 3 days. You have a cake or whatever, and then you knock out or fall asleep or whatever. Like, that's really a blessing that you have that immediate reaction.
Thank you for letting me share, and thank you for that. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, no problem. Feel free to ask any questions and jump in. Looks like there is a question in the chat here. Sorry, I'm not really good at reading these. Oh, it's for Tiffany. Tiffany, how many of the people you coach are doing carnivore to work on an autoimmune condition? And do you have any statistic anecdotes on how many get a full remission? Very little traceable studies on this on the internet.
Yeah, I answered it. I had to turn my iPad so I could use my keyboard because I wasn't in the chat, right? But I have a few that deal, and autoimmune is kind of a broad statement. I mean, I'm celiac, that's an autoimmune, right? But I have a few, and they have definitely been able to relieve their symptoms or at least reduce them with carnivore. But I've seen a lot do that with keto also, but I think more a broader amount of people do that with carnivore. And I've seen that a lot, not just in my clients, but just through people that I follow on social media. It's amazing. And I really think what the underlying issue with so many autoimmune disorders is gut healing. And that is what is so great about carnivore, is that we can really get a lot of healing through the gut. So I hope that answers your question. You feel free to DM me. We can chat about it a little more. It's hard for, I've got this up so I can use it, and it's kind of, there we go.
No problem. No problem.
I was trying to get in the chat because I realized, oh yeah, I usually do it on my computer so I can chat through that, but yeah.
It's all good. Mario, you raised your hand. Did you have a follow-up question for, oh.
Yeah,
Are you there?
Actually, I do. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do. So I've been doing carnivore for since January. No, actually, more than that. And so I have Hashimoto's. That's my autoimmune disease. I was diagnosed about 15 years ago, and what I can say and what I can be an example is the symptoms are definitely gone, as Geraldo was saying, the brain fog, the tiredness, the moodiness, and all of that, and also lost quite a bit of weight. So all of that is gone. However, I was wondering if there is really any validation of lab work getting better, even though that's probably a bad metric that I'm using, the lab work, because all of it is probably not accurate anyway. But are there really any validation with, let's say, science and medical studies that say you can fix it by eliminating everything else that probably is messing with your gut? Which you won't know what it is because there are so many things we eat and we ingest. So I think the elimination trick that carnivore does and really lion diet does, that's what does it. And again, I'm an example of that because pretty much all my symptoms are gone, but my lab work is still kind of messy. It still tells me I have Hashimoto's. That was my question, Tiffany, but thank you for answering.
So just real quick, Hashimoto's, if you've ever watched Dr. Barry's wife, Nisha, she has Hashimoto's. She's been able to reverse hers. And I think she's completely off medication right now. And give your blood work time to catch up because it may not show the healing for a while. So I've been carnivore pretty solidly since 2019, but really since 2017. I just had to lower my thyroid. Now I'm hypothyroid, but I have been healing so much and continuing to use the same kind of medication. I just threw myself into hyperthyroidism because I was taking too much medication. So I just lowered my medication. I am pretty sure I will be lowering it again. So what I would say is encourage you, ask your doctor to test you more often. Because so often we're going once a year, twice a year, where I really think when you're in a healing time, it's more appropriate to do 3 or 4 times a year because things change so quickly with the thyroid.
Right.
And really the whole HPA axis system, is it's really important to keep, very close watch on that.
Very good.
So
Thank
that
you.
was all I was going to share.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. And what I've found is that the healing is a process. Y'all, I have been eating this way for 3 years. And mind you, I had debilitating mental illness and debilitating physical illness with the multiple sclerosis. I was on my way to the psych ward or the nursing home. So it was bad. But still, it wasn't a light switch. It wasn't something that just everything is, roses and butterflies and rainbows now. I still have healing, and I still have healing mentally, spiritually, physically. My blood work is still not perfect, but that just goes to show you how sick I was. And my doctor, my functional doctor, he's looking at it and he's going, honestly, like, I don't know if this is the remnants of how sick you were. Because he unfortunately wasn't my doctor before. So he doesn't have the previous blood work to compare it to. But I think that, and I know this sounds really simple, but I think that we need to gauge it on how we feel. I mean, if you feel completely different eating this way, then let that be your guide, because even blood work can lie. Even blood work can be like a random, like you could take it at 8 o'clock in the morning and then you could take it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's going to be different. So what's not going to lie is how you feel. And that is, I believe, one of the best guiding forces to recognize that healing continues and healing is not, immediate. I don't know how to say this. Sophia. Hello.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi, how are
Yes.
you?
I am well. Thank you. I wanted to, I just want to chime in. A few things. We messaged and talked about me possibly telling my story. So I'm going to just do a really quick plug on this. This doesn't have to
wait, I know who you are. I know who
Live
you
Life
are.
Turned On.
At Live Life Turned On. You crack me up. Oh my goodness. Y'all grab your Instagram right now. Go to at Live Life Turned On.
Oh.
Every time you're in my newsfeed, I'm just like, joy. Like,
Okay,
thank you so much. Okay, so yes, tell your story.
Super appreciate that feedback. And it's just so I want to speak. Tiffany, you said something about how powerful it is, this social media platform. And sometimes I get lost in how addictive this social media platform is.
Yes.
I went off it for years. And in fact, my other Instagram account is Pride of Carnivores, because I was afraid to come out as a carnivore when I went carnivore, because I was an avid juicer. Like I was, juicing was my thing. And I filmed a Instagram TV 40-day fast. And I had a completely separate account to try carnivore because I wasn't ready to come out.
I hear you.
So I don't know how I'll make it as quick as possible. Wait, before I do that, the other thing to talk about is it's a process. Yes. Holy moly, is healing a process. And then you feel like you've got to that place and then you're like, oh wait, I have more to heal. Oh wait, now that just unearthed more weeds I need to pull.
Yes.
Oh, there's more weeds. Oh wait, again, more weeds. So it was I'm 50 years old. I went through an early menopause. And during that time, I put on 60 pounds. And a friend of mine in Australia was like, it's menopause. Let yourself get fat. Eat the donuts. Enjoy it. Because I, like many of us, have been on a diet since I was 13. I don't know anything else but dieting. It's messed with my mental health. It's messed obviously with my physical health, self-esteem, all those issues. So I put on the 60 pounds and I moved down to the Bay Area, and I take a job as a director of events, and I'm surrounded by food. So, and my boss was this cute little fit thing that was like, oh, don't show your arms. And, maybe you should dress a little different. And I was like, oh my, okay, thanks. Helping with my self-esteem. Not. So I was in that place of, I can't juice. It's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. And somebody said, well, it's menopause, so you need to focus on protein. And so I was like, okay, let me Google what you got. I need 0 fiber, because that's the part of juicing that works for me. I feel fantastic when I juice. And then as soon as I would start to eat all the healthy vegetables again, it would go downhill. And I was like, okay, Google, I need 0 fiber, high protein. What you got? Carnivore. Okay, well, what is this? So it was December of 2019, and I started to see how much meat I could eat in a day. And I was like, okay, this is kind of doable. And then, of course, I found Shawn Baker. January of 2020 was, I read Shawn Baker, I read Ken Berry, I joined the 30-day challenge. I did all the things. I went and got a DEXA scan, like all of the things. And from January of 2020 to July of 2020, so 7 months, I was 100% carnivore, meat, butter, water, salt, and coffee, 100% sugar-free. I went from 200 and something pounds. I lost 25 pounds of fat. I gained 2 pounds of lean muscle mass because I went back for a second DEXA scan, July 2020. So gained 2 pounds of lean muscle without working out, lost 25 pounds of fat, reduced my visceral fat by 65%.
Stop.
I know. I was like, the woman that did my DEXA scan, she's like, I don't care what you're doing. Don't let anybody tell you different. It works for you. Don't stop.
Wow.
Right? So, and then now let's just speak to this process, because I was zero carbs, 0 sugar. And a friend of mine in the neighborhood had a birthday, and I came home to a piece of a piece of chocolate cake on my step. 9 months later, I'm still eating sugar. 9 months.
One piece of cake caused 9 months of binging. Wow.
It's real. And
it's real.
I can be silly and funny, but I'll show you. The struggle is real. Man, when you are in that carb hole, it's real.
It's very real.
So when you reached out to me, I was like, okay, I've just recently started weight training, and I'm like, I look around, that looks like a carbohydrate. That looks like a carbohydrate. I'm like, I need that carb. I need that carb. I need that carb. I can't get enough fuel in my body right now. And when you said you were eating 4,000 calories a day, I was like, I'm not eating enough. I am a truck driver. My BMR, my natural burning is like 3,000 calories a day. And I've been trying to eat 2,000, think I'm doing myself good. I'm starving. And those binges that come out of nowhere that I derail, and all of a sudden I wake up, I'm like, okay. So I say all that. My story is that I know carnivore makes me feel amazing. I don't care what anybody says. I know the results. I was 207 pounds when I started this, and my recent, pre-binge weight was about 163. That's taken me 2 years. This isn't like overnight, right? Kelly Hogan talks about it. She gained weight, and then, so I don't know. I could obviously go on because I love the carnivore story. I love how it's changed my life. I love that people think I'm nuts that I eat a pound of ribeye for breakfast. And yet I don't have all the answers. I'm still learning. And now that I've added weight training, I need to rethink how I'm doing this because all I want to do is eat carbs. So,
so Tiffany,
yeah,
Tiffany wants to say something. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Okay, please.
Okay, I first, you're hilarious. Just went and followed you. So we're going to connect on Instagram. I wanted to talk about two things because Geraldo said something about cravings and you're talking about cravings. And so if you'll see it on my Instagram. I talk about this a lot. And with my clients, cravings are like stray cats. As long as you keep feeding them, they are never going to go away. Right. Yep. So, we really need to think about that when we, every time we give into it. And believe me, I understand the temptations they're everywhere. They're everywhere. But the longer you go with saying no, the stronger you're going to get. And the cravings will subside physically, but we have to deal with the mental cravings. That is a whole different ball of wax, working. I do a little with mindset and food addiction with my journey and with my clients. That is not my specialty, but we definitely deal with that. There are quite a few coaches that food addiction is their specialty, and working with someone that works with that is important. The second thing I wanted to say was every coach I know across the board, and then just people who have been in the space a long time will tell you almost everyone is under eating when they start carnivore. Everyone. And women, especially because we have been on diets pretty much since we could speak. I think the first time I went on a diet, it was like 11. And I wasn't even heavy. So, but I grew up with a grandmother who was a model. She's the one who raised me. So she did not understand my body type. I am 5'10", but I am built like a linebacker. I am not dainty in any form. So she didn't know what to do with me. But chronically under eating, it is crazy. And I can tell you, when I lift weights, I am way hungrier than the days where I'm just going for a walk. Now, I know a lot of people that fast and weight lift. That's not something I've been successful with. I do fasting, but I try to do them around my lifts because I feel when I get done with the lift, I want to go home and eat meat. So, knowing yourself, knowing your needs, I think that is so, so, so important. And that's what tracking can do a little bit. Like, we always associate tracking with keeping ourselves under a certain amount of calories, but sometimes tracking helps us to see, like, oh my gosh, I only ate 1,500 calories, but my watch is telling me I burned 1,200 active calories. So that's active. That's not what just kept you alive. So yeah, knowing that. And I think those calculators are great. I can't think of the name of it. The one that tells you how many calories you actually need. Kelly was just talking about this, to burn, what you burn to stay alive plus what you burn in your activity. Those are great. But then there's a lot of bio-individuality in there that you're going to need to play with to meet your own goals and needs physically, mentally. A lot of us are not eating enough fat either. We go into carnivore, but we still try to, it still scares the hell out of us to eat a whole bunch of fat. And I get it because, I was raised in the 80s. That was the pinnacle of low fat diet. My grandmother would go and get those, God, what were the name of those Snackwells? I don't know. They were nasty little cookies, but damn well I could eat that whole box because it's fat free, right? But it hold a whole lot of sugar. That's how they make that cardboard taste good. So, we've just got so many, so Sophia's the same age as I am. We're 50. We have a lot of damage in the head with that diet mentality and the low fat. And I have a stack of books, I'm certified and I still go, wow, that's a lot of fat. I don't, so we're going to battle it from time to time, but you've got the right attitude. Stay with, the joy that you're getting from the way that you're eating. When you're totally on board with your carnivore and how good you felt, you can get back there. And your lifts are only going to be better. I mean, look at Keto Savage, Robert Sykes. He is carnivore and he is built like, huge. He's got great muscular density, and so does his wife. And she's primarily carnivore. She's pregnant right now, so she's doing things differently, but that's something to look at. Danny Vega and Mata Vega, mainly carnivore, they lift a lot. So they're out there, and protein is the key when you're lifting. You want muscles, you need protein. So that's my take on that one. I just wanted to share that. Stay away from fat cookies.
Oh yeah, for sure. And what I found, even with what Geraldo was talking about, is that that carb addicted mind, those cravings, that you got to feed them, intentionally feed those cravings with animal fat. And I cannot tell you how important it is to have fatty meat on hand, so that whenever you're in that moment and you're just like at that point of weakness, you can literally just stuff animal fat in your mouth and eat that instead, and wait for the stray cat to go away. Wait for the stray cat to go away, because it will go away, but you have to feed it. You can't be starving yourself. Honestly, I mean, I literally eat a half a pound of beef fat every day, a half a pound. And that is intentional for my mental health. And that is intentional for my cravings, because I don't like to think about food. I don't like to, fantasize about food. I don't enjoy that feeling, because I'm so far removed from it, that I have food freedom. I am not this awesome, strong, like super will person. No, I literally don't have cravings, because I have removed myself from that. I don't play with it. And so now I am just like in this, my own little bubble, just enjoying fat, animal meat and animal fat. And I don't even think about it. Whenever I see a piece of cake, I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's not food. That's not food. And I know what that's going to do to me mentally. I know what that's going to do to me, in that I'm going to be thinking about cake for the next month. I don't want to think about cake. I think cake's stupid. I want to think about what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't want to be thinking about food. Food is just fuel. It's just something that you put in your body to make your body process and do everything that it needs to do to sustain life. So I hope that helps. Fatty meat for the win in my book. I really think that it is so important to recognize that this is an addiction, and that it's a real addiction, and that one piece of cake can take you out for 9 months. But if you did it before, you can do it again. You can absolutely get back on, and you can do it again. I totally believe in you, and I'm so glad that you were transparent and able to tell us your story. But stay connected, stay connected to this meeting, stay connected to, actually, that is what I specialize in. I specialize in the worst and the worst. The people that come to me are usually severely addicted. And I walk them through this 8-week system to be able to really hold their hand, and to not let them, go out on their own, to really know that there is hope in this process. And then Jackie, I think you had a question.
Yes, I wanted to know more about your eating raw meat. Because it's a big thing. I see it all over right now, and I just can't. I've tried. I just tried to do my ground beef that way, and I'm just, smushy meat is icky to me. So rare, but not raw. But how did you end up being raw meat, and what's the difference? Why do you like it that way?
Yeah, actually, it as a side note, I don't eat it smushy. I eat it frozen.
Oh,
Yeah, and raw. So basically what I do is I cut up my meat once it's, thawed enough for me to eat it. I mean, to cut it into little cubes. And
okay. So like you did with the fat.
like I do with the fat. And
I thought that was just the fat.
no. And the same with my ground beef. I take it from the deep freeze and I put it in the refrigerator the night before. So then first thing in the morning at 6 a.m., I can cut it into little bite-sized pieces and I eat it frozen. So it's not like rock hard frozen in that I can still cut it. But it's in little pieces and when you bite into it, it's kind of crunchy. So I don't think I could do it raw, like mushy.
Oh, it's gross.
Yeah, I don't think I would like that, but I really do like it frozen.
Is it true because it's easier for your body to digest it when it's raw?
Yeah, the way that this all started was I knew that I needed high amounts of fat. And whenever I would eat cooked fat, it would feel greasy in my stomach and heavy. And I just couldn't eat as much. But then I had somebody on Instagram. It was a follower, and she was like, "Hey, have you ever tried it raw?" And I was just like, no, like that's cute, but no, like I'm not going to do that. That's weird. And then she bugged me a week later and she was like, "No, Emily, try it. Try it. It's really creamy. It's dense like cheese." And I was like, okay, fine. So I put one bite in my mouth and I had a visceral response. My brain went crazy. My brain was like, yes, like this is what we need. This is what we need. Now we can get as much as possible. And I've found out through blood work that I don't absorb properly. So I think that could be something that plays into it. And that my body is trying to get to the fastest route to that fat. And cooking it changes the dynamics of that. Cooking it, like some of it melts out. But I'm able to get more and be more efficient with that absorption whenever I eat it raw. And what I noticed was whenever I was cutting up the fat and putting it into little pieces, sometimes there were pieces of meat still on the fat. And I just got kind of lazy. And I was just like, I don't want to cut this fat off. I'll just cut it into my little cubes and eat it. And so I started eating the pieces of meat on the fat raw. And then I was like, wow, this way of eating is so easy. Like, what if I don't have to cook my meat? Like, wouldn't that be the coolest? And then I adapted this way. And I know I need to make a video. I need to make a video to show everybody how I do it. But I am literally the laziest carnivore in the world because I eat half a pound of beef fat, half a pound of beef cuts, like steaks cut up into little cubes, and a pound of ground beef every day, just one time a day. And I don't cook any of it. It's just all raw. And I don't recommend that. I don't say that that's what you need to do, because I was very intentional about finding a local farm. I wouldn't do that from the grocery store at all. I would absolutely not recommend you do that from the grocery store because you have no idea what you're getting at the grocery store. But if you can put your boots on the ground and you can shake the farmer's hand and you can see the cows and you see how the practices are, I would say, yeah, try it raw. It works for me. I've been eating raw for over 2 years now. I can eat a steak, like I'll go out with my dad or, family or whatever. I can go out and eat a cooked steak. But I don't feel as good the next day. I just don't process it well. And that's why I tell everybody to do what your body is telling you to do. I don't recommend you do this if it's gross to you. Like, this is supposed to be fun. Like, this is supposed to be enjoyable.
That really helps a lot to understand how you're eating it raw, because, you know, I've seen the raw dude that, what's his name?
Eat meat experiment, raw meat experiment.
Yeah, that guy grosses me out. Testicles,
I can't,
everything raw.
I can't even watch his videos. I can't even watch his videos.
No, me neither. And gross. But
I've been eating raw for 2 years, and I can't even watch.
The memes are hilarious. So I'm here for the memes. Anyway, I've been on this beef water salt for 90-day experiment, which I have learned so much in just 30 days of doing this. But
what's it been like?
Well, the most amazing thing is, I said, I'm not going to worry about the scale, because I have upped my fat a lot, because you said it's good for your brain. And I noticed this feeling of wellness, of, I don't know, it's not a pleasure feeling, but it's a feeling of, gosh, I feel so good. Like, several times throughout the day, my mind stops and thinks about how good I feel, which has never happened before, because I just feel well and good.
Like peaceful.
Yeah. And just like, oh, I it's so hard to describe that feeling, which I did not have before, but I still have been, you know, dealing with the digestion part, because the fat is hot, you know, and I pour, you know, I air fry everything. I'm an air fryer, and I do my ground beef in the air fryer, and then the fat in the bottom of the air fryer, I pour over it and I eat it all. And I don't care that I have to quick to the restroom soon after, because I'm like, I need the fat. I'm going to eat the fat. But if I could do it without that reaction, which I started after you told me about the frozen way of doing fat, but I didn't think about the meat part. So that's going to be, maybe I'll do that. But I'm like reducing my fat a little bit. I was a little shocked at how much fat is in a 3-pound chub of ground beef, because I'm eating one of those a day, basically in 3 meals. So, and it's perfect. It's great. It's easy, but maybe I should try the frozen cubed up, you know, just, I want easier. I like that. So I just wanted to learn more about how you got to where you are and what you do to do it. And that totally makes sense. And then I wanted to understand a little bit better, why does your brain need the fat? What is it? If we went, because I went many years as a teenager and early 20s going fat free, and, you know, all the things, right? The snack wells, all of it. I did all that that drink. So what was I doing to myself by taking away all the fat? I mean, that must have been why I have all kinds of things. Although I'm a lucky one. I don't have autoimmunes at all. I have no medications now. That my biggest problem was blood pressure. But what does it do for your brain?
I don't know the science of it. I really don't. I all I know is my experience, and the experience of hundreds of clients that I've worked with. And then of course the carnivore community. You know, you hear from Brett Lloyd. It's about the fat. It's about getting the fat in your brain, and for some reason it works. And it in a way, like, I'm kind of glad I don't understand the science of it, because I think I could get really lost in all of that. I just know how it makes me feel. Well, we are out of time, but thank you guys so much. This has been such a great conversation, and we will be here next Saturday. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a good one.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me. and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right. Thanks.